want to start with a story today, okay? So one time when I was a kid, I went sledding, and so my neighbor next door had a really big hill in their yard, and so we go there and we go sledding, and I had a blue sled and had my snowsuit on, and I was ready to go. It was my turn to go down the hill because we could only have two going down a hill at one time because there was a creek on the other side, and so I got into my sled, I sat down, I put my feet up towards the end of it, and my friend pushed me down, and I started to go faster and faster down the hill. And then all of a sudden, my sled started to go off to the side, and I was heading closer and closer to a tree. And the end, story over. What was that? You don't think my story's over? But I told you it was done. Yes, I did not make an ending to my story. I literally just told you the problem in my story, and I did not get my character out of trouble. Didn't you guys? You guys were probably like, what happened? Did you hit the tree? Did you not hit the tree? Did somebody save you? What happened? Then that's exactly what I want to teach you today, first grade. So writers, today I want to teach you that readers love satisfying endings to their stories. One way writers create satisfying endings for their readers is by telling what happens to their characters at the end of their story. And this makes the readers feel happy and makes them know that the book and story is completely over. And so that's what we're going to be working on today, is getting our characters out of trouble and ending our stories so we know that the book is over. We're not going to leave our readers kind of worried and not knowing what's going on like I just did to you. I'll finish my story. I did not hit the tree. I steered and then I rolled out my sled, and then my sled hit the tree and I was A-okay. Glad I got that off my chest. So we're going to think about today how we can get my character Penny out of trouble in her cat Buttons and make an ending so that way we feel better and we know that our book is done. So we are currently sketching out and writing all the parts of our book. So we have already gone through the pre-writing and started to do some drafting. So we have our characters and our setting. We have our problem in our story. And yesterday we focused on making sure we made a problem that we brought to life through actions and dialogue and thinking and feelings. Now today we are going to be getting our characters out of trouble using those same strategies. And so I'm going to revisit my pre-write before I start writing and just kind of think about what I could say. So Buttons jumped in the window of the tree fort, Buttons made the loudest meow and growl ever, and that scared the coyote away. Got it. Now remember, I'm not just going to write that on my page because these were just my ideas I was getting out and they're not the most creative. So now I have to make them into really interesting sentences to bring my story to life, okay? And then on my last page, this is my ending where I need to make sure that I write a satisfying ending to make my reader happy. And so we need to make sure that on this page is a great opportunity, just like our small moment books, to either state how we feel or a lesson that we could learn from the characters, okay? So I'm going to jump back over to my book that I've written. And so let's just revisit all the things that I've written so far, okay? So page 1 starts with, meow, meow, Penny loved to play in her treehouse. Her treehouse was in her backyard. It was green and had a ladder up to the door. And she loved to play with her orange and brown cat Buttons. They would play for hours. They played hide and seek and ate yummy snacks together. They also loved napping together. Penny looked at Buttons and said, "You are the best cat ever." Buttons looked at Penny and smiled. They loved spending time together. Penny loved spending time in her treehouse. 1, 2, 3, come out wherever you are, Buttons, Penny said. As Penny searched for Buttons, an unexpected visitor was nearby. Penny found Buttons hiding behind a box. She picked up Buttons. Penny and Buttons were having so much fun together. Then they both heard a loud growling noise coming from, that's why you always reread, below the treehouse. ... Penny and Buttons creeped toward the window. They shivered as they looked out the window. Their eyes became huge. They saw a large coyote looking at them. Penny squeezed Buttons and said, "Oh no, what do we do?" She tried to scream but didn't. She didn't want to scare the coyote. Buttons and Penny hid behind a box and started to shake. Penny had no idea how to get rid of the coyote, but Buttons had a plan. ... So now we are going to get our characters out of trouble, and I'm so excited for this. So, again, I'm going to keep all the ideas of how to bring our stories to life. So I'm going to start this page off with another like onomatopoeia. So I'm going to start with our character, the coyote, growling. So I'm going to say, growl. The coyote did not seem happy. He was growling at Penny and Buttons. Penny started to cry. She was so scared. Buttons had a plan. He jumped into the window and looked down at the coyote. Buttons arched his back, puffed his tail, and let out the loudest hiss and growl Penny had ever heard. And then I'm going to say, oops, why my font get small? Then I'm going to use hiss, growl. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because I need some more space for my page. There we go. Growl. The coyote froze, looked at Buttons, and ran away into the woods. And then I'm going to say, Penny said, Buttons, you saved the day. And I'm going to tell you that this is not going to be the end of my story because I haven't told you how they feel yet or a lesson that we've learned. This is just one way that we could have gotten our character out of trouble. So growl! The coyote did not seem happy. He was growling at Penny and Buttons. Penny started to cry. She was so scared. Buttons had a plan. He jumped into the window and looked down at the coyote. Buttons arched his back, puffed his tail, and let out the largest hiss and growl Penny had ever heard. Hiss, growl. The coyote froze, looked at Buttons, and ran away into the woods. Penny said, Buttons, you saved the day. So now that we got our characters out of trouble, we have to come up with an ending to our story now. Remember, the ending is where we make sure that the reader knows that it is over. So we have to maybe say how they are feeling, what they are doing, or a lesson that we have learned. Okay, so I'm going to start on my page here, just saying, oops, let me fix this really quick. Page break. Okay, so we could say, Penny ran to Buttons and hugged him. She knew Buttons was the best cat ever. She felt so happy that he protected her from the coyote. Penny opened a new can of tuna and gave it to Buttons. Buttons and Penny continued to have the best day ever in their tree fort. The end. So now you know that our story is over. There's nothing left for the reader to guess of like, oh, well, what else is going to happen next? So Penny ran to Buttons and hugged him. She knew Buttons was the best cat ever. She felt so happy that he protected her from the coyote. Penny opened a new can of tuna and gave it to Buttons. Buttons and Penny continued to have the best day ever in their tree fort. That seems like an ending to my story. I'm not guessing what's coming up next. And I still was able to bring my story to life through actions and thoughts and feelings and words that our character said. So today you are going to be focusing in on your page 4, which is getting your character out of trouble. And page 5 is where you kind of wrap it all up and end it for your reader. Then you're going to submit all of your pages to me so I can take a look at it. And then next week, we're going to start to talk about how we can use some shared checklists and expectations to assess our work and make sure that we're meeting those expectations. Okay, first grade? So I'm really excited to read your next pages of your story. So head over to Seesaw and get started on page 4 and 5. Bye.